This next interview is a part of the Food on Demand series, a collection of conversations that was held live on the conference showroom floor of the Food on Demand conference in Las Vegas, Nevada in May of 2024. The next guest on the Food on Demand series is a co-founder and partner of Dog Haus, a brand with over 60 locations in the United States and many virtual delivery-only concepts, including Badass Breakfast Burritos, Bad Mother Clucker, Big Belly Burger, and Jailbird Wings. In this conversation, Andre and I sit down to talk about the creation of Dog Haus, their virtual delivery-only concepts, the changing of guard bringing on Michael Montagano as the new CEO, the kitchen optimization that is needed to be able to run virtual delivery-only concepts at a high level, and Dog Haus's newest venture into the catering realm. Let's get into the conversation. I know you mentioned here off camera, you're the founder of Dog Haus, co-founder. Aaron and John, two buddies of mine growing up, founded DeliverThat. And something we just released on our Million Catering Delivery podcast a couple weeks ago, we've been trying to showcase their founder's journey a ton and how difficult the trials, tribulations, and things of that. So could you just briefly give us an insight into why the concept was founded, how it was founded, and the journey of really getting things underway?
Yeah, Dog Haus created in 2010 with my buddy Qasim and Hago. It was a fast casual concept, dogs, burgers, sausage, and beers. And so it's a brand that started just locally in LA. And then now today we have about 60 locations in 12 states, and we're opening a couple stores a month. It's been a fun journey, learning how to run a franchise company from the beginning, but then also how to pivot when the pandemic happened. When you're a bar, how do you continue growing? And that's where we really leaned into off-premise and catering and delivering and delivery. And today, one of the things is when you talked about what's it mean to be a founder for the future is sometimes founders just need to know when to let loose and to have somebody bring somebody on, which we did, our new CEO, Michael Montagano, who's an expert in the field and in the industry. And I think that's one of the things as being a founder is how to, realize what it takes to run a larger company. You need to be the right person for that. And that's something that it was a hard thing to do, but we feel good about it.
Yeah, I think that's super intriguing, kind of being able to take a step back and realize the growth you want is accessible through not necessarily yourself being that position of power moving forward. You have to kind of hand over the reins to someone new.
Correct. Yeah, and Michael, came from the background from finance, the legal, to off-prem. He's and that's how we first met when he was with Kitchen United.
Right.
When he created the first ever ghost kitchen. That's when Dog Haus was creating virtual brands. And so prior to the pandemic, that's something we tested out. And because of actually Michael and I met when our kids were kindergartners at a bar at the poly parent party, and we showed up there and I said, hey, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm kind of in the restaurant business, because being a franchisor is almost everything but sometimes being in the restaurant. And he said, I'm kind of in the restaurant space too. I have ghost kitchens. And I'm like, well, what is that? And that was 2019, and so that's when we got into the space.
That's wild. And you mentioned 60 locations, or getting to that number, but we also mentioned that a lot of these locations are brick and mortar, but they're delivery only concepts.
So all the locations for Dog Haus are brick and mortars, but then we also, during the pandemic, we created these virtual brands: Badass Breakfast Burritos, Bad Mother Clucker. We partner with Impossible Foods. We have Big Belly Burgers, Jailbird Wings. So we have these different concepts, and we created those to maximize the space on the 3 PDs, right? So people weren't searching for dogs, and so we realize our menu, when you walk into a Dog Haus, people look at it: dogs, burgers, sausage, burgers, chicken, etc. But on the third party deliveries, they're only searching dogs, and so we weren't actually representing our full menu. And so we created these virtual brands that were supposed to be only for ghost kitchens like Kitchen United or Cloud Kitchen. But then when the pandemic happened, we decided to not license ourselves, but let every single Dog Haus utilize those concepts. So instead of, there's some other companies out there, restaurants, who license other brands, virtual brands, but we created our own virtual brands based off of our menu board, based off our menu, our SKUs, our kitchen equipment, and our staff training. And we created these virtual brands right at the right before 2020, to end of 2019, and that's what got us through the pandemic.
That's amazing. Amazing way to find accessibility to that customer and provide yourself more revenue outside of a pretty bad pandemic, as everyone notably knows. Something else I wanted to ask about in the virtual kitchen space. How do you optimize a kitchen space for all of those different concepts, right? How is it difficult to make sure you have the right food, the right equipment, or is that kind of the big undertaking in developing those, making sure everything is provided and the processes are easy and streamlined to make sure everything's prepared correctly?
Ben, I don't want to give you a big ego, but that's probably one of the smartest questions anyone's asked, because that was our
There we go.
that was our challenge, and most people don't understand that part. We tested out by licensing somebody else's brand, and also when we're walking down 40 feet to a different piece of equipment and different power on the equipment, and then all of a sudden it's like all over the place. I think the reason why Dog Haus made it and why we don't think, we believe we're in the third inning of a baseball game with virtual brands and delivery and all that. We're all still figuring out. It's not cookie cutter anymore. So when we created our virtual brands, we basically looked at our menu board and we created just marketing names, right? Bad Mother Clucker. But that's just our chicken sandwich section, and we threw a few different things on that. Not one brand, every brand that we created could only have one new SKU. We'd have to use the same equipment, and the people who are at those positions in the kitchen, the fry guy, the griddle guy, the pantry guy, they couldn't move. So when we created Bad Mother Clucker, Badass Breakfast Burrito, that we went after a new daytime part, right? Late night munchies and breakfast. So we created a breakfast burrito, and all we did is added a 14-inch tortilla, flour tortilla, but we already had the hash browns, we already had the sauce, we already had the proteins, and so we just kind of put all of our stuff we normally put between our grilled King's Hawaiian buns, and we put it in a tortilla, wrapped it up, called it Badass Breakfast Burritos. And then that brand continued with the same equipment, same position, same SKUs. I think where people get in trouble is if they couldn't have that answer from your question of what about the new equipment? What about the headache? What about all these different things, SKUs now that you have? And I think that's the problem. So if you were to even license another brand, make sure those are the SKUs you already have in the equipment. Otherwise, you're going down a dangerous rabbit hole. And it's also the culture. We had a different ethnicity once when we tested this out in 2019, and it wasn't in the DNA of that person to make that style food. So we kept the DNA, the culture of the people, the positions, the equipment, and the SKUs exact same.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And something you guys are undertaking moving forward, which obviously DeliverThat, catering delivery game, that's our space, that's our realm. You guys are moving into the catering space. It's a great undertaking, and I just wanted to ask candidly, what's that like? What are the plans moving forward for the catering?
Yeah, we realized, for years we'd go out ourselves and do the catering at somebody's place because it's so easy.
I remember last year you guys brought Badass Breakfast Burritos to the lunchbox party at NRA last year.
Yes, we did that. We did it a couple other events as well this year, and it's kind of a big hit. But we'd go out and we could cater, and that's not, it's grilling dogs in somebody's backyards or burgers or whatnot. But the question is, and why you guys are the solution for a lot of people, especially when you have a high-end concept like ours. Yes, it's burgers. Yes, it's hot dogs and sausages, but it's hormone-free, antibiotic-free, never ever. We take pride in our stuff. This isn't just a street dog. This is a gourmet sausage and burger and chicken sandwiches. And so we decided to go catering and have that. How can we have that same quality service as in our stores, four walls, as well as the quality of the food going? And with the 5 years now of testing it in the 3 PDs, we know what works, what doesn't work. We know that our tater tots travel well and our French fries don't. And we started just figuring it out, and also working in the packaging for all the individual, individual orders. And now that we've mastered what it is to be an expert in the 3 PD or the off-prem 15 minutes, how now can we do the 100-person order, the 300-person order, the 250? When we're testing it out all the time, how to prep for fast scale. We're just at Coachella for 2 weekends, and how to flex their muscles with 3 different brands there to get that volume, but keep the quality. And I think now we launched with we had a consulting company called Crumbs work with us starting in October. And just in 6 months, we grew our catering, 417%, and went from X hundreds of thousands to X millions, just by figuring out the right stuff. And now we're finalizing all the packaging. And then obviously the bow on the package would be service like you guys, where we could trust our food to make sure that experience is set up perfectly, and that the guest gets that same experience at their party, at their work, at their home, as they do when they come into our place. If somebody's having their 75th birthday party there, or the kid's 15th birthday party at our location, it has to be perfect. So with years of testing food to go and packaging, we're now ready for the catering part, and it's crushing it.
That's the backstory to how you actually get to catering, I think, is super intriguing. You mentioned testing menu items and how they travel. That's something no one talks about, I feel like, very openly. It's always very vague, but that's super intriguing. And then packaging, obviously massive in the delivery game.
Yeah. And then also the delivery, I mean, it's one of the things we didn't realize. We kept thinking these massive, boxes and whatnot, but it's also a lot of these companies want 200 individual lunches. So like how to go for that. And then I think where we have our niche, and something we talk about with the airports that we're working with, is we're a brand that has daytime, nighttime, and breakfast. And I think catering doesn't have a lot of breakfast options. If it's not a bagel or a parfait, like what are you catering?
Yeah, something different.
And so Badass Breakfast Burritos is one of those items with our over easy eggs that are inside this tortilla that's naturally cooking the food, and your little hot tater tots inside wrapped in the right kind of foil. These burritos could last an hour long, and so it's getting that hot dish for a catering option that's perfect by the time they get it, and so that's something that that we kind of fell into that one, but that's something where we're now doing the breakfast part of the catering.
Hell yeah, man. It's crazy. I love you're just like grinning ear to ear just talking about what you guys are able to offer the customer. It's just amazing to see you genuinely love the brand and the concept and the product you're providing.
I always smile with Badass Breakfast Burritos because it's literally, when people say, what's your favorite thing to order at Dog Haus, they think it's a dog or a sausage. But I just always go to that. It's such a fun food. And for us, the catering world is probably the hottest topic, I'd say, in 2024. Is the word catering. I think people aren't even going to have it ready until 2025. It's kind of flashback of the pandemic, that we had delivery contracts, right, packaging all before a pandemic, and we didn't have to call to like set up our menus. We're just ready to go. I think the same thing with catering. Catering 2024, 25 is going to blow up, and I think people need to jump on that, but really think about what is it that the customer wants and when, and what of your food travels well. Because if we put our full menu for catering, it would not be a good disaster. So my big grin ear to ear was for being a franchisor and a founder, the potential of what our business could grow when we just went from 48% of our sales is off premise without catering. What's it going to be now, with catering? And so like, how big of a business is our company going to be?
That's awesome, man. Awesome. Andre, I appreciate it. I know we're on a timeline here, so I want to let you come out, but thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
it's been a long time coming. I greatly appreciate sitting down with you.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck. Take care.